Welcome back to the SSRS training session class 2. Okay. In last session we discussed about what is MSBI and what it consists of, what all the tools that are present in MSBI and where this SSRS fits and how this is important, why this is important in the MSBI stack. Now let's see. I'm not going to cover how to install MSBI, and there is a video available in YouTube. You can go through that if you want to install, or if you need my help in installing Microsoft BI, I'll be always ready to do that. Whenever you are free, whenever you are free, just ping me, and if I am free too, then I'll connect your machine and I'll install SQL Server, Microsoft BI in your computers. And once the installation is done, before starting with your first SSRS project, we need to do a couple of things, like we need to check a couple of things. The first and foremost thing is whether the service is running or not. What is meant by SSRS service? Why that is important? Why it needs to be running when you want to work on SSRS projects or when you want to deploy SSRS projects? So if you see, let's take any player, real player. You know real player, right? Which is used to play videos. And .3GP videos or something. It is specialized in .3GP, I guess. So if you want to play a real player, what you can see is an icon on the desktop or somewhere. If you double click on that, it will just simply play the video whatever you selected. Actually, there will be a service running in the backend. So without that service running, the real player will not work. I'm just giving an example. In the same way, there will be lot of services for all the applications that you install, almost all the applications that you install. The service mainly contains the server-side coding, like what needs to be done on heck of this, what are all the functionality that are required. Okay, will be available in the service. If the service is not running, then that means you cannot work on it, or you cannot expect the exact output. You can open real player, but you cannot play the video. Why? Because the service is not running. In the same way, if you take MSBI, it comes with so many services. One is for SQL Server, one is for SSIS, one is for SSRS, and one is for SSRS. Okay, and if you take this IS, AS, and RS, you can simply work on the project. You can design the project and you can develop the project, but you cannot deploy to the server. For deploying to the server, you have the functionality on the service side, and you have to make sure that the service is running for deploying either SSAS project or SSRS project or SSIS project. Okay, but SQL Server, you know very well, if the service is not running, it won't connect at all. You can't connect to the SQL Server. There is nothing like project, right, in SQL Server. It is just a querying database, querying language. Now let me show you where the services will be available, and so there will be lot of servers running, and for almost all kind of applications. Now let me show you where this MS-based servers, where you can go and check whether the service is running or not, and how to start the service, and what are the different properties available for a service. So to go to that, generally what you have to do is you have to go to all programs. This is Windows 8, so it is little different, but all the OS which earlier to Windows 8, it's like start all programs. Under all programs, you will find Microsoft SQL Server some version. If you install 2008, then it will be 2008, or if you install 2008 R2, then it will be 2008 R2. If you install 2012, then it will be 2012, something like that. So you'll find a folder with the name Microsoft SQL Server 2000, any version name. Under that, you will find configuration tools. In that, you'll find an option called SQL Server Configuration Manager. The same thing, if you go in Windows 8, it will be available here. Where is that? This is 2008 R2. Okay, this is all these files, all the files related to 2008 R2, and I've also installed 2012, and you can find the same here at the end. This is 2012 related stuff. Okay, now I'm not going to open that. I'm going to show you the 2008 R2 files. If you see here, there is no folders and subfolders. It will be like this kind of widgets, right? This is the SQL Server Configuration Manager I was talking about. So if you select the SQL Server Configuration Manager, there it will list all the services that is related to the SQL Server and Microsoft BI. So select the SQL Server services, and something gone wrong here. Let me erase the drawings first. It is Oops. It's not getting the data. Okay. Just a second, guys. Okay, guys. Actually, I installed SQL Server 2012 recently. That screwed up something, I guess. So that is why it is not showing. Actually, if you go to SQL, I mean, start all programs, Microsoft SQL Server version name under that configuration tools in that SQL Server configuration manager, it will list all the SQL Server and MSBA related services. Now the other place where you can see is if you go to run command, there if you type services.msc, you can find all the services that are running in this computer. So if you see in this computer, um, all the services that are present for everything, like for any player or Norton antivirus, whatever you have installed, you can see all the services will be running under services.msc. If you go for services.msc, then it will list you all the services that are present. And what we are interested in is we are interested in SQL Server services. And if you see, there is two versions. One is SQL Server, Microsoft MS SQL Server. This is called default instance. Okay, and new underscore copy. This is the instance name I have given for 2012 installation. So this is 2012 related reporting services, and this is 2008 R2 related reporting services. I have given instance names like this. For 2008 R2, I have given MS SQL Server, and for 2012, I have given new underscore copy. In the same way, for everything, you will find two instances. This is 2012 instance of integration services, and this is 2008 R2. In the same way, you'll find this is 2012, 2008 R2, 2012, 2008 R2, 2012, and 2008 R2. So there are two copies, two instances. That is why services are different, and all the services you can see in services.msc. But always it's better to go to SQL Server Configuration Manager in Microsoft SQL Server folder to find out whether the service is running or not. Now let me show you what the impact if the service is not running. Let's say I'm stopping the service SQL Server. Okay, this is running. You can see the status is running. Or if you right click, you can find options like stop, pause, restart. You can easily understand what is meant by stop. It is going to stop the service. Pause means it is going to pause for some time, and restart means it will restart. Okay, now let me stop the service. I'll do one thing. By next class, I'll remove the 2012 that really screwed up so many things in my system. So if you see the SQL Server service now, I've removed it. Let's see the status of the same. SQL Server reporting services. Where is SQL Server? Here it is. And you can see the status is not showing. That means it is stopped. Now let me connect to SQL Server. I'm connecting to SQL Server 2008 Management Studio, and let me connect to the database. It is trying to connect. And for connecting to SQL Server database, it needs that service to be running. That is why it is trying to find out whether the service is available and running or not. If it is not running, or if it is not able to get the code that is required for it, then it will say an error like a network related or instance specific error connection to the SQL Server. Check whether the SQL Server is running or not. Cannot able to connect. That's it. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start the service. Right click and start. And it is started now. Now let me connect to SQL Server. And it is connected to SQL Server. So that is why services plays a major role for any tool in Microsoft, including SQL Server. And for everything there will be a service. You have to make sure that the service is running or not. When you try to deploy or when you try to move your code to the server, it will say an error. It will throw an error saying that check whether the service is running or not. We are not able to find out the server you have specified, right? So in that case, the first thing you have to go and check is whether the service is running or not. If it is not running, just run it. Okay, this is about the services, and but this is not the best place to change the services. Always go to Microsoft Start All Programs, Microsoft SQL Server 2008 or R2. In that configuration tools, under that SQL Server Configuration Manager. Only you will find 4 to 5 services, easy to pick. Okay. Now, this is about services, and one more important thing that you need to know before starting with the report development is the BIDS environment. BIDS in short, and the full form of the same is Business Intelligence Development Studio. So that is the framework what Microsoft has provided to design SSIS projects, SSAS projects and SSRS projects. If you remember, we discussed in last session there will be data and it will be moved to one data warehouse using a project, right? Using this project, the data will be moved to data warehouse, and using another project you will design OLAP Cube database, and using another project you will design reports, right? This is what we discussed yesterday. So while discussing this, I told you we will have some project like SSIS project here, SSAS project here, and SSRS project here. For developing any kind of project, you need some framework where you can design, which can provide all the options that are required to design or develop a project, a particular project. Okay. For all these Microsoft BI projects like SSIS, SSAS and SSRS projects, the common framework provided by Microsoft is BIDS. B-I-D-S. So this is the short form, and the full form of the same is Business Intelligence Development Studio. This is another format. This is just similar to the Visual Studio. People who are having good knowledge on .NET can easily understand the options that are available in the Business Intelligence Development Studio. Why? Because Visual Studio, which is used for .NET, is equal to, or I can say 90+% equal to BIDS, which we are going to use for creating MSBI projects. Now let me show you where the BIDS sits, or where you can go and open the BIDS framework. So it's in the same folder. If you go to Start All Programs, Microsoft SQL Server version number, in that you will find an option called BIDS, that is Business Intelligence Development Studio. Actually, it's not business. It's a SQL Server Business Intelligence Development Studio. If you select that, it will open Business Intelligence BIDS. Okay, this is the start page, how it looks whenever the project opens. If you have created any other projects in your computer, then all the recent projects will be listed here. If you want to directly navigate or directly go to the particular project. Now, let me show you how to add a new project or how to create a new project in the BIDS environment. So you have to go to File, New, Project. So if you go to File, New and Project, it will list all the kind of projects that are available. Okay. The first one is Analysis Service Projects. That means SSAS project. If you want to design any analysis, create any analysis service project, you have to select the first one. If you want to import an analysis service to database to a project, you have to use this. This is very rarely explained one. If anyone wants this, the guys, there are a couple of guys who attended SSA sessions, last session. So if they want, I can explain you this separately, just ping me. And the third one and fourth one belongs to integration services, that is SSIS projects. And fifth one, sixth one and seventh one, if you see, these three belongs to SSRS projects. So the first one is Report Server Project Wizard, second one is Report Model Project and Report Server Project. And if you see, this Report Server Project Wizard and Report Server Project are very similar, very close. There is no much difference between these two. But Report Model Project is entirely different, and it's not that much frequently used on Report Model projects, and I'll try to give you overview at the end of the sessions. But we will be concentrating a lot on Report Server Project. Okay. And now first let's start with Report Server Project Wizard, and I will give you an explanation. I'll explain you the difference between Project Wizard and Project. What is meant by Wizard? Whatever the page opens, like this is a wizard. This is called New Project Wizard. Okay, where you will have all the options to configure and so on. So if I take report server project wizard and if I give some name, let's say project wizard report, I'm giving some dummy name. Don't give these kind of names. Try to give proper and meaningful name. Okay. If I click on OK, automatically it will open the wizard. So you have to, by default, it is opening the wizard to create a report. This is called wizard. Wizard is the one which generally, while installing, if you take any exe file, if you click on the exe file, a wizard will open, where it will ask to accept all the terms and conditions. When you check that, it will take and click on next, it will take you to the next page. There you have to select something else. Next, and finish will be the installation. That is the required output for you. In the same way, this wizard will help you, will drives you through the different steps, various steps that are available in your SSR, in creating SSRS report. Now let me show you an example by going through each and every step of this report wizard. So first, I clicked on next, and it is asking, for creating the report, what is the first thing that is required? The first and foremost thing is you need data. If you don't have data, nothing you are going to create. What you are going to create? It's of, with empty data, it's nothing, right? It's trash. So first and foremost thing is create a connection to the database from where you are going to pull the data from to your SSRS report. As we discussed in last session, if the data warehouse is small, then the data will be directly pulled into the report. If it is too big, then we will add an SSAS layer and data will be pulled from this SSAS database. In our case, the database is very small, so I'm directly pointing to some database. Instead of Cube database, I'm pointing to SQL Server database directly to get the data into my report. So let me specify, I have to give the credentials here. Credentials in the sense where the data is present and what is the ID and password I have to use to connect. So let me do that. I'm giving some name for the data source. I'll say AdventureWorks data or data source, short form. And this type will tell what is the server, that database server that you are going to connect. As I told you, the data may be present in any of the server like SQL Server, Analysis Services, Teradata, and SAP NetWeaver BI, Report Server Model, and so on. So data may be present in any database. So Microsoft provides options for almost all kinds of databases. If you see, this is for connecting to Analysis Services. This is for connecting to SQL Server. And OLDB and OLEDB and ODBC you can use for almost all kinds of relational databases. And Oracle provided separately for Oracle. So if you select this Microsoft SQL Server, what it will do is it will load all the DLLs or assemblies that are required to connect to SQL Server. Okay. If you are connecting to SQL Server, the select statement will be different compared to Oracle or compared to Teradata. So if you select the provider, you are giving a hint to the server saying that, okay, this guy is going to use SQL Server, or this guy is going to use the data from the SQL Server database. So I have to keep all the functionality or all the DLL files ready for it. So you are giving a hint saying that I'm going to connect to SQL Server database. Now the connection string, this is the important one. Connection string is the one which is going to say from which database you are going to pull the data. So this is server, means what kind of server, whether it's a SQL Server or Oracle, you are specifying it here. But you have to specify where is the database present. For example, Vamsi created a database and he is practicing something. So if he has to provide the database name and the server name and all those stuff to get that information, right? To make the SSRS understood. Okay, this is the place from where I have to get the data. So the server name for me is localhost, means the localhost is nothing but the local computer. The SQL Server is present in the same computer which I am where I am creating this SSRS reports. If the SQL Server is present in some other computer in the same network and the name of the computer is compute_test_21345, 21345, then you have to give the server name. Wherever the database is present from which you are going to pull the data to show in the report, you have to give that computer name here. The server name is nothing but the computer name. If you go to my computer and right click and see the properties, there will be a computer name. So this is just the computer name where your SQL Server is present. For me, it is present in the local host. I can give either local host or I can go to my computer, and if I see the properties, there will be some name for this. Computer name is Rupesh and full computer name is Rupesh. Okay. So this is the computer name for mine. If I give Rupesh, it should connect. Let me try with that, or it will be having something else. Let me check that. So I've given the computer name, nothing but server name. This is the computer or the server where the databases that are required for my report are present. Okay. And you have to give the credentials. People who knows about SQL Server and who has seen the first 4 videos, as I told you yesterday, should have idea about credentials or authentication mode. While installing SQL Server, it will ask you what kind of authentication mode you want to give, either Windows or both. If it is Windows, that means you are going to set only Windows authentication, that everyone who has access to the server can connect. In the other case, if it is SQL Server, if the person is having access to this computer, he also has to provide the password. I think I have given some password while installing SQL Server. Let me try that. I've given some password. I think I remember it. So now I've given the ID and password correctly. ID will be defaulted to SA and password is whatever the password you will give. And you can see all the databases that are present in the computer, in my system, in my database server is listing here. Now I have to specify from where I'm gonna pull the data. I'm gonna pull the data from AdventureWorks DW database. Select it, test the connection if you want to test whether all the details that you have provided is correct or not. Let me check save password and click on OK. And you can see the connection string is created. And if you know this connection string, people, .NET developers, they type this connection string directly without taking the help of these wizards and all. So if you know that, then you can directly paste it. It will be like this, right? And if you go to edit, it is blank, nothing there. And if you paste it here, if you know it, if you type it here, if you directly go, it will be taken care. So if you are good in writing the connection string, you can directly write it. Or if you want the help of wizard, just click on edit. And credentials will say what is the credentials that you are going to use to connect. I'm going to use SA and the password, whatever the name. And if you want to go for Windows authentication, you can go for it. And prompt for credentials, like whenever you try to run the report, it will prompt for credentials. And if there is no credentials for connecting to this database, there are few kinds of database servers where you don't need credentials, like Excel, why you need credentials to connect to Excel and so on. So for that, you can go for no credentials. Now, I have done this and make this as a shared data source. I have unchecked this option. We will revisit it. First, let me uncheck and go to the next step. So what I have done in the first step is I have identified the database from where I'm going to pull the data to show in this report. I just identified the database, nothing else. The next step, if I click on that, okay, now I have identified the database. What is the next step for creating the report? You have to write a query which pulls the data that is gonna be used in your report. You can write the query. If you are super good in SQL Server, you can directly write the query, and if you are poor in SQL Server like me, then you can go for Query Builder. If you click on the option, it will load the Query Builder, which helps you in generating the query. So if you see the option here, Add Table, if you click on that, it will show all the tables that are present in the data source connection you have given. We have connected to AdventureWorks DW, right? In the database, it will show all the tables that are present in the AdventureWorks DW. Now what I will do is I will add a couple of tables. First I'm adding fact internet sales, and I'm gonna add DIM products, and I'm gonna add, and if you observe here, when I'm adding a table and if there is relationships and everything is getting added automatically, the query is generating whenever I add a new table. And I'm going to add 2 more tables, product subcategory and product category, and you can see all the queries getting generated. Now I have added the tables that are required for my report. Now the next step I have to do is I have to select the columns that I want for it. If you see the select statement, the columns are not specified. If you check any column that you want, it will be selected. Let's say I want sales amount and tax amount. If I check this, you can see these two are placed. And from products, I want English product name. And let's say I want color. These two are selected. And these two are added to the query. In the same way, from here I want English product category name and English product subcategory name. Everything is added, the query is run, and if you want to test it, you have a button to test the same. If you execute it, the query will retrieve the data, the sample data, or the data that is present. It will retrieve how many records are there and what is the type of what data is present in the database. It will show you the sample here. And if you see these tabs, it is for showing and hiding. Show or hide result pane. What is the result pane here? This is the result pane. And if you click on this, it will be hidden. And it is SQL pane. SQL query is hidden. This is table pane. And this is minimum. At least one should be present. Okay. And the edit as text. If you don't want these wizards, if you want to see the query as text, you can click on edit as text. And you can see this is the text that you have generated now. Click on OK. Now the query is ready for my report. That means query means data. The data is ready. The output of this one is data. Okay. Click on next. And now what kind of report you want to generate? By default, it has given two formats. One is tabular format and another one is matrix format. So don't get confused. You can see the sample here. The preview here. Tabular format means it looks like this. Rows and columns. Matrix means it will be like rows, columns and details. It's like a multi-dimensional. The cube output. How many of you guys, I don't know how many of you guys are aware of SSRS. So this is very similar to, you will have rows, columns and measures. Okay. First let's go with the tabular format and let's see each and every option again and again. Today we are going to completely concentrate on the report wizard. So I selected the tabular. Next one is I have to select what should be coming as rows and what is my details and so on. Okay. In tabular format, if you see here, you can see this comes like this. The top one, whatever you select in the page, it will be on the top, just like you can see. For every page, it will be repeated. Okay. The second one is grouping. The third one is detailed data. So let me add everything into detailed information. Okay. Let me remove these two guys. And let me add at the bottom. And I want to make an order of it. That's why I've added it. Let me pull this to somewhere here. If you see, this is a hierarchy. Category, subcategory, color and product name. And then I'm adding sales amount and tax amount. I have added all the things into detail section. So all these things will be visible only in the details. Whatever is highlighting here, it will be shown in the same. And the page and the group option we are going to discuss shortly. So click on next. Now the styling. What is your favorite? What is your color? What color you want to select for the report? I like forest. Let me select the forest. Click on next. And this is the report server. It is going to deploy the report. Fine. And this is the folder name. The project is going to create into this folder. This is also fine. And this is the summary. Whatever you have done till now. So first thing you have defined a data source and the name of that one is adv_ds, and I provided a connection string for that, and this is the connection string. And then report type I have selected table, and layout I selected stepped, and style forest means the green color whatever I selected, and details, these are the columns that needs to be shown, and this is the query I have taken. So if you see the complete steps, whatever you would have done till now, okay, everything is given as summary. And let me give some name, sales report. So I've given a name, and if you click on finish, the report will be created. So this is as easy as this creating a report in SSRS. If you want to create a tabular report, it is as easy as this, and you can see the same color whatever I have given, it is taken the same, and you can increase the column width if you want. If you feel that the column width which is given is not enough, you can increase it. If you select on this table, the column headers, the brown color one, what you can see, the borders will be shown for the table, and you can select it and you can drag it just like how you do in Excel. Okay, Excel cells how you will do in the same way. And now let me preview the report. The option preview is to see how the report looks. Okay, you have designed the report now and how it looks, and it is generating, and you can see this is how the report looks. And is it not looking good? What is your view about the report? So if you observe, a simple report or a OK report we develop in just less than a minute. We have not taken much time here. So that is the advantage, easy to develop reports, and it was really quick. And if you see, we had something around 60,000 records. If you see the number of pages, it will continue the same. And if you go to the last page, it will show 1,101 pages. It was generated in less than 2 to 3 seconds, right? Or maybe 4 seconds. So if you see, this is super fast. Better, not super fast, but better. It has generated report with 1,000 plus pages in less than 3 to 4 seconds. So this is how you can design a report, and this is how, see, when you take a report server project, by default a project wizard will be opened. The end of the report server project wizard is a report. Okay. Now, this is fine. Let me keep this report aside. And I'm going to use this query again and again. So let me copy the same query. You don't worry about this. I'll explain everything to you guys. Okay. Now, I'm going to create one more report. How to get the same wizard again? Right click on the same and add new report. If you use add new report, the wizard will be open. Okay. Click on next. What is the first step? Create a data source. Already I created data source last time, but I cannot use it. I have to create it again. So let me give adv_ds name again, SQL Server. The first data source I have created is for that report, that is for sales report. Now I'm going to create one more report. So I need to create the data source again. Here going to the credentials, connection settings, I'm giving Rupesh. This time I'll go for Windows authentication. I'm gonna connect to the database AdventureWorks DW. Okay, the data source is connected. Now I'm gonna make this as a shared data source. Okay. So I selected the option make this as a shared data source. So generally data source, if you don't select this option, that will be specific to that particular report. For example, the last data source I created for the sales report, it was specific to that. Now let's see the difference. What will be the difference after creating this report? So what I've done is I checked this, make this as a shared data source, and I'll give a different name. There should be some difference, right? I've given adv_data source is the name. Click on next. I'm pasting the query. I told you I'm going to use it. Why I have to go? Now I'm going for tabular report, and I'm going for sales amount and tax amount in the details section, and English product name here. Let me order it in a better way. And English product category name and subcategory name here into the details. Let me order it again. Pull this one to top. Okay. Now I'm taking the color into page. So this is a page grouping. I want the color into the page. So I've selected into the page. Click on next and let me take some other color. My another favorite color is, let me go with this. Next, and I'll give the name. This is again the summary. I'll give the name as color wise sales. Okay, this is the name I'm giving. Why? Because I have added color into the page grouping. Now let me click on finish, and you can see the color is somewhere here. The color is on top and it is not in this one. Why? Because I have specified it as a page. Now let me give good enough space for this, each and every column. what as I've done in the for the last report. Why? Because it will be very congested. It will go to the next line. So that is why I'm giving some good space for each and every column, at least the required space. Okay. Now I have taken color and everything. So let me adjust the width of the page. Okay, fine. Now the color, if you see, it came out of the table. I said it is not part of the detail section. Details means only this. It is not part of the detail section. It should be part of page grouping. Now if I preview it, you can see the color is coming on. The color will come on top. The grouping of pages will be done based on the color. It is taking some time. Let's wait. I think it is done. Okay, if you see the first page, it is showing all the black color products. So the page grouping is black and it will have all the black color products information in the first page. If you see the previous report, sales report, it will have something around 30 records per page. Why? Because we are not grouping based on any color. Oops, the data set is, I made some change to the data set name, right? That is why it is creating mess. Let me make a quick fix for this. And you will become master in all these things. This is first class, right? So it will take some time for you guys. Okay. Now if you see this report, this guy will have some predefined number of rows, like 20 rows or 30 rows per page, and it will go to the next page. But here I'm grouping it based on color. That means I'm asking the server to provide all the black color data in one page. And if you go to the next page, it will list all the next color, whatever it is. Next color is, again, next color is blue. It is giving all the blue color data in one page. And if you go to the third page, it will give you another color information. Let's see what the third color that is available here. I clicked or not? Not. Now I selected it. So the third one is multicolor. The color name is multi. Let's see what's the fourth one. Okay, and the fourth color is not applicable, NA. So if you have 10 pages, that means there are 10 different color products available, right? So you can easily identify if you have grouping by the color, then for a one page there will be one color. Now it is red color. The fifth one is red color. And if you want to know how many colors are there in your database for different products, go to the last page. How many number of pages are there? That many number of colors are available. There are 8 colors and the last one is yellow. So this is how the page grouping, if you see, it groups based on page, and whatever the column you have provided the column color, and hence it is giving color wise page level grouping. If you give English product, what will happen? For every product there will be one page taken. So that is bullshit designing of report. Generally people want to see either color wise or category wise, something like that, but not product wise. If you have millions of products, they don't want to see, right, for one kind of project in one page. So now you understood, right, what is the use of page grouping. And there is one more option which we forgot to observe, that is I selected it as what I've done. I selected it as shared data source, and you can see under shared data sources it is created. It is created under shared data sources. So I selected the checkbox, make it as a shared data source, and you can observe the shared data source with the same name whatever I've given is created. Now let me create one more report, same thing, and here if you see the shared data source is available now, and it is asking, man, there is one shared data source available. If you want to use it, just use it. Why you will create again and again? You can make use of the shared data source, right? So use it. And if I click on next, it will be used, the same shared data source, and I'll give the same query here. Again tabular option, and here for paging I'll go for page, and for grouping I'll take category and then subcategory. I've taken 2 groups, and finally for details I'm taking English product name, sales amount and tax amount. Now let's see how the report looks. Now I have added groups. If you observe, I have added the groups here. Group means this one. Let me highlight this. So the one which is getting highlighted is the group. How we want to group the data. For example, Vamsi or someone raised an issue saying that why the data is repeating. Instead of repeating, it will show only once. Under bikes, all the subcategories will be shown. Under one subcategory, all the products will be shown. Something like that. Okay. Now we have groups. Now how we want to show the group? Let's say I want to show the group either in stepped way or in block way. This is blocks and this is stepped. So let me go for stepped, and it is asking whether you want to include subtotals or not. Totals means at the bottom if you want to include subtotals or not, and enable drill down or not. I am not enabling the drill down, and I will show you in the next report what is this enable drill down option. I have included subtotals and I have selected stepped option. And if you select the blocked option, you can't get the enable drill down option. This is blocks wise. So I'm going for stepped here. Click on next, and again the color selection, let me go for oceanic. Click on next. I'll give it as third report. I'm not getting any name. Let me say category sales. Okay, click on finish, and you can see it is stepped now. Here you are getting the first one, the whatever the name that you, whatever the thing that you have taken, English product category, and here the second one stepped in the second step. Why? Because these two belongs to group, and third one, fourth one, and fifth one are details information. So all these three will come in the same row. And if you see, if you observe these two are stepped. Why? Because I have selected the stepped option, and I have included the grand total, right, for the sales amount and tax amount, and hence you can see the grand total and for sales amount and tax amount is coming. Now let me preview it, and now if you see, this report runs a bit faster than the earlier one which were created for with pages information. Let's try it. Let's see that. And now the report is generated, and you can see accessories is showing only once. Under that helmets, under helmets you have all these products. Okay, why these products are repeating with the sales amount? Why? Because whenever a helmet is bought by any customer, then it will be shown, it will be inserted, it will be captured in the database. So it is showing in the grouping, in the detailed information. Okay. Now this is about stepped option. Sorry. Stepped option in SSRS tabular report. Now I'm going for one more report. I'm taking the same shared data source. I'm taking the same query and the tabular option again. Now here in the page again I'll go for color. I want color wise, and now here I'll take category, subcategory, and also product. I've taken all the three, and here only sales amount and tax amount. Click on next. Here I'll go for I'll go for step. I'll include subtotals, and I'll also enable drill down. And if you observe, I have taken English category, subcategory, and also product name in the group. Click on next, and here I'll select corporate style. Click on next, and I'll say cat sales report. Okay, click on finish. Now you can see little difference. Why? Because this is one more step increased, and the subtotals are added, and drill down option is also added. I'll show you what is meant by drill down option. So let me increase it, and you can see that I'll show you the difference between this report and the previous report, where we have only 2 columns selected in the groups. Now we have selected 3 columns in the group. Now if you see, I want the server to group the data based on category, subcategory, and products, and you are getting only 3 records. But here if you see, all the product, I've added product in the detail section, and hence each and every record with a different product is considered as 1. But here, if you, where is that? Here under accessories, you will find helmets. Under helmets, you will find what is the helmet that is present. Okay, this is the element that is present, and this is the sales for each and everything. Okay, and you can, this is called drill down option. Whatever the plus and minus, right? This is called drill down. It will drill you through the next level of information. Now if I click on this, it will be minus 30. Again here there are two kinds of bikes, mountain bikes and so on. And under mountain bikes there are some 10 to 12 products, and each product there will be sales. This is the sales occurred for each and everything, right? And this is the total, and this is the total of all the mountain bikes, including all the 8 products or 10 products. So this is how, if you observe, this is a better useful report to the user, right? He can drill down and he can see whatever he wants to. If he wants to see only shorts related information, women's mountain short sale, then you can drill down and see this information. And if you observe, all these first page products is only black color one. If you go to the next page, you can see blue color sales. Next page will give you multicolor. Multicolor, we are getting only clothing part. So that is why only clothing is showing. In fourth, not applicable color, you have only accessories like bike racks and so on. That is why it is only showing. And red, you have some set. Silver, white, and so on. So now if you see, we have dealt with page groups and also detailed information in the tabular reports. So we have designed so many reports in short time. If you see 4 reports, right? Now let me take one more report, add new report, click on next. I'm using the shared data source, or I can use different data source. If you want, I can go to new data source and select the new one. And I'm selecting the shared one, and I'm taking the same query. The query is not available, man. Shit. Let me take the query. I need it. I can't type it again and again. That's why. I copied the query. I'm taking the new report and share data source. I'm taking the query. Click on next. And this time I'm going for matrix. Matrix means it will be rows, columns, and not a regular tabular one. Tabular means it will be only 2-dimensional, but this will be more than 2-dimensional. Let me show you that. Now here you have extra, the page is common, and the group, the details, the groups is split into rows and columns. Generally the grouping was happening based on rows, right? In the rows it was like bikes, category first, and then subcategory, and then product. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to group it based on rows and columns. Let me show you how it will be. First, sales amount and tax amount is the details I want to see. The yellow color part is highlighted. And total product name and category and subcategory, I want it in rows. I want these 3 stuff in rows. I want this one in columns. Columns means here. So the column wise splitting will happen. Generally, if you have only sales amount and tax amount, how many records will come? 2 records will come. One for sales amount, 2 columns will come. One for sales amount and one for tax amount. Now if you add anything in the row group, the number of columns will be discount into the number of values in the color. The color has 8 values, right? Like red, blue, yellow, and so on. 8 into 2, 16 columns will come. I'll show you how it looks. So, and if you want to enable the drill down, you have an option here. Check it, click on next, and the colors, I'll go for bold. Next, I'll say first matrix. Click on finish. And you can see the color is coming in columns. Okay, instead of rows, it is coming in columns. I'll format it a little bit. I'll set this to center, and I'll increase the column size, the sales amount column size, and tax amount column size, and I'll set these two as center align. The text I want it to be in center alignment. Okay, and even this I want to set it to center, and let the values be also center aligned. So I'm aligning it based on cell for each and every cell. and this will be product, subcategory name, and category name. And you can see no page color group, page wise grouping, and hence nothing is coming. And if I click on preview, you can see the grouping, the row level grouping for English product name and category name, subcategory name, and products. There is no data for this. And this has 3 products, bottles and cages. And cleaners has 1 product. Fenders has 1 product. Helmets will be at least 2. There are 3 products. And if you see, when this is Sport 100 helmet black color, here black color sales amount will be there, black color tax amount will be there. And for blue, obviously blue color will have sales. Why? Because this product comes in only blue color, and hence the sales will be only for blue color. And this is red. Obviously you can go for a guess that the sales will be there for red color. And if you observe the number of columns it is coming, it is multiplication. The number of values that is present here for the products and for the colors, and number of columns you have selected. For black, sales amount and tax amount. For blue wise, sales amount and tax amount. Multicolor, sales amount and tax amount. So everything will be split. So the complete report, 60,000 records, will has come in one page. You can see this is all the 60,000 records information. All the products you have, hardly you will be getting the data in one page. Why? Because you are grouping it everything. And if you see the color is black here, obviously the sales will be only for black. And if the color is red, if the product comes in red color only, then the sales will be only for red color. So this is how you can create a matrix report. And this is the difference between tabular and matrix. Tabular is only 2-dimensional. Here you are splitting the data column level also, right? Row grouping, column grouping, and the sales, the metrics, measures, whatever you want to see the data. And you can see, to design the same report in .NET, I have designed the same report in .NET in my first or second project of my career, and I have spent almost 1.5 weeks to design it. And the performance, I was like looping each and every row, each and every cell. If I was getting 1 lakh records, every record, all the row, all the columns, I was looping, condition checking, and I have done bullshit job. And the same thing you can design here within fraction of seconds. Within minute, I can say, not fraction of seconds. Within minute, you can design a report which will give you, which will return you a matrix format report. And now the same thing again, if you export to Excel, you can see the same report. You can see this report also in the similar format, and you can see everything. You can expand and see how the sales is and so on. So this looks really good, right? Easy to generate, and the report looks good. So this is the advantage. You can create the reports on the fly, and it's easy to design the reports. It won't take much time. That is one advantage. But always the complexity depends on the complexity of the report. If the report is too complex, then it will take time. I mean, the requirement is too complex, then it will take time. I don't say all the reports can be generated in less than a minute or less than an hour. It depends on the complexity of the report. Complexity in the sense the requirement, what client is asked for. For example, if I click on this plus, if client says the Aishwarya Rai should come and dance here, that's not an easy requirement to do. That's not, I mean, not at all possible. You have to find some workaround by keeping some media player and play some Aishwarya Rai song or something like that. So clients, they don't worry about the complexity. They will just ask, they'll just give what they want. And it's our job to find out whether it is feasible or not, whether we can do it or not, or whether we can do it with the bandwidth that is available for us or not. Everything, all these things you have to think and give it to the clients. Okay. If they ask like here a bomb blast should happen when I click on this place, I can say this is bullshit and this cannot be possible in SSRS. Right? So requirements will be funny, and you don't, I mean, when I click on this report, one of the requirement was it has to play a video, and the video should play some music or something like that, or predefined music. So we did that. It was the requirement for my first project on MSBI, and we have done that. but it has taken a lot of work around, lot of cheat coding. Somehow we achieved that output, right? We achieved the requirement. So clients, they don't worry whether this, they don't know anything about the tool. What they will do is, okay, this is what I want. Can you do it or not? It's all in our hands to do some POCs, R&Ds, and come up where, and you have to say whether it is possible or not. If it is possible, then you have to do it. If you say that it is possible, I have done some POC, this is the POC work, and this looks like this. If they're okay with that, then the work will start, actual work. Okay, these are simple reports, that is why it is taking less time, and when it comes to the complex report, then it may take a lot of time. And now you understood what is the difference between matrix report and tabular report, and we also discussed about all the options, almost all the options. We have not left any option that is available in the report server project wizard. So that's it for today's session, and in next session we are going to continue our discussion on report server project wizard and the differences between report server project and report server project wizard, and which one is best, and how to design reports using report server project. That will be very lengthy, and in that we are going to discuss about how this drill down comes manually. If you are not using wizard, you have to set it manually, which property to set and how to achieve all the options, all the functionality we have achieved using wizards like drill down, totals, subtotals, and so on. Thank you guys. Have a nice day. Catch you in next session.